Thank you for joining this series of webcasts run by Break, the road safety charity. The aim of the series is to give family liaison officers and family liaison coordinators a deeper understanding of the services that Break provides to professionals and bereaved families through our National Road Victims Service. Break's National Road Victims Service is proud to work in partnership with all UK police forces to help road crash victims get the support they need from our service and to support the professional development of police officers in family liaison roles with road victims. In this series, we will cover topics including the National Road Victims Service, partnership awareness training, the role of the Independent Road Victims Advocate, Break's bereavement packs, and Break's Serious Injury Guide. I would like to take a moment to say thank you to our webcast sponsors this year, Hugh James, Simpson Miller, and Slater & Gordon. The fourth session in this series of webcasts will discuss the support literature that Break provides to families following a road death and how FLOs can make sure that people receive the information that they need. I would now like to introduce Break's Corporate Partnership Manager, Katie Shephard, to give a detailed overview of Break support literature for road crash victims.
Welcome to this Break webcast for Police Family Liaison Officers supporting road crash victims. In previous webcasts in this series, we've given an overview of our National Road Victim Service and we've explained the role played by our independent road victim advocates. We have also described our training programme for new Police Family Liaison Officers. If you haven't had a chance to watch these webcasts yet, you can find them on Break's website at www.break.org.uk. There you will also find information about our annual FLO conference, as well as our Police FLO Awards programme, which celebrates the amazing work that police FLOs do to support families affected by road death. Today I'm going to be talking about the support literature that Break provides to families after a road death. I'll explain how our bereavement literature helps people at such a devastating time in their lives, and how you, as FLOs, can make sure that the people you are working with get access to the information they need. People bereaved by road death typically suffer shock, trauma, and grief, as well as facing a range of practical and procedural challenges, often over a very long period. Victims are thrust into navigating many different procedures, from post-mortem examinations and inquests to traffic law and the criminal justice system, at a time when they are suffering extreme distress. They are likely to have profound and wide-ranging practical, physical, and emotional support needs. Without immediate support, many traumatically bereaved people are likely to experience long-term emotional, health, and practical problems. So it's vitally important for their long-term recovery that road crash victims receive expert emotional support from a specialist professional service staffed by experts who are experienced in working within this area of victim care. Break's National Road Victim Service is a free, confidential, specialist service for anyone who has been bereaved or seriously injured in a road crash. It's also available to support anyone who is supporting a road crash victim. The service is there to help with some of the very specific practical matters and procedures relevant to road death. It can also advocate on behalf of road crash victims. The National Road Victim Service is underpinned by Break's high-quality information and advice for road crash victims. Our support literature for both adults and children also provides the main route for victims to find out about the service. Break packs are the only specialist support that is automatically and proactively offered to all families devastated by road death. It is written into police protocol that FLOs should provide bereaved families with Break support literature and make them aware of the support they can get through the National Road Victim Service. As FLOs, you are required to provide the family with a copy of Break's bereavement pack within 24 hours of the crash, at the time the family is informed of the death. The packs are produced by Break in consultation with a range of criminal justice agencies and support experts. We produce separate packs for England and Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland to take into account the specific nature of the policing and criminal justice landscape in the different nations. The packs include guidance on coping with grief when a loved one is killed on the road. We also provide books for children and their carers. Guidance for people affected by serious injury following a road crash will be covered in a future webcast. Our support literature is updated regularly to ensure that it is accurate and up to date. Break support literature provides a lifeline to devastated road crash victims, enabling them to access a pathway of support through the National Road Victim Service and other services, such as community support and trauma counselling. It provides emotional comfort and reassurance and comprehensive guidance on practical matters, including criminal justice procedures. It is designed to be durable and accessible, with information presented in short sections so victims can dip in and out as they need to. Our aim is that victims who have been seriously injured or bereaved by road crashes are supported on their road to recovery, and we achieve this through the following outcomes. Supported victims feel more able to cope after getting high-quality emotional support. They have better understanding of practical matters after a crash, and they are able to access further support if they need it. By supporting victims practically and emotionally, including helping them access other specialist services and information, victims will feel more able to cope. When victims feel more able to cope, we know there are other benefits, including improved mental health and resilience, support for wider family and friends, knowledge of and engagement with other specialist services, support with navigating the criminal justice system, practical support around finance and benefits, and improved family relationships. The long-term impact is reduced suffering and increased ability to cope for victims of road crashes. This will increase outcomes for them and their dependents, reducing pressure and cost on statutory services such as health services, education, and benefits. I'm now going to talk in a bit of detail about our information and advice for bereaved families and friends following a death on the road, which you will probably hear more simply called the bereavement pack. I'll describe briefly what each session of the pack covers, from what happens in the immediate aftermath of a crash to how to claim compensation. Section 1, what happens now? This first section covers what happens in the immediate aftermath of a road crash. It explains what might happen to a loved one's body, including what happens at a post-mortem examination, what tests might be carried out, and how this might affect plans for a funeral. It explains how families can find out what happened to their loved one during a crash, including who to talk to if they want to know more about how they died, why the crash happened, or what will happen to any vehicles involved in the crash. Section 2, practical issues. Practical issues that need to be attended to after any death can feel overwhelming in the initial, most raw stages of grief. Break's bereavement pack explains using simple, straightforward language who needs to be told about the death and what information may need to be provided. We explain who can help you and services that can make the process a little easier. This section also covers funeral arrangements, including different options that may be available and how to get help with paying for a funeral, as well as other financial issues that may arise. Some crashes attract a lot of media attention, and we explain how families can manage their case in the media and how their police contacts can support them with this. The National Road Victim Service works with the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office to provide emotional and practical support to families and friends in the UK of anyone killed in a road crash abroad. The bereavement pack explains the support the FCDO provides and how to access that support. Section 3, criminal investigations and charges. Here, we cover what happens when a road death is investigated by the police, including witness statements, evidence that may be collected, and what reports the family may be entitled to see. We then move on to talk about prosecution services and their responsibilities when deciding whether someone should be prosecuted, and what happens if that person is charged. This section lists some of the criminal offences that people may be convicted of following a death on the road, from causing death by dangerous driving to corporate manslaughter, as well as charges that do not mention death or serious injury. The pack explains where each offence will be tried and the maximum penalties for each offence. Section 4, court cases. This section explains what happens in a public courtroom and the support that is available for witnesses. It prepares people for what they may see and how they may feel when attending a court case, especially if they are asked to be a witness and may have to see the accused or their friends around the courthouse. Key topics in this section are information on different types of court and how hearings and trials differ depending on the courtroom, verdicts and sentencing, including whether an offender will serve their sentence in prison and what happens when they are released, and investigations that may take place to determine the cause of death, including inquests. Section 5. Can I claim compensation? There is no automatic compensation for people bereaved by a road crash, but compensation is often awarded through a legal process under civil law. This chapter gives guidance on instructing a solicitor to pursue a claim for compensation and the types of compensation that may be available. It explains how agreements can be negotiated and outlines likely timescales for this to happen. Finally, the pack ends with a list of useful organisations offering further support to road crash victims, from charities such as BRAKE to government bodies with responsibility for road safety. Our England and Wales pack also contains a directory of solicitors specialising in fatal injury cases. Coping with grief when someone you love is killed on the road. Every bereavement pack comes with a copy of the yellow Coping with Grief booklet inside the cover. Coping with Grief contains information on the common feelings people experience after the death of a loved one in a road crash. It provides straightforward advice on how to cope and who to turn to for help. It also explains the importance of looking after your own well-being to prevent long-term damage to health and quality of life and enable you to find a way forward. You can use this book to help reassure people that overwhelming and distressing emotions are common reactions, to point out suggestions for coping with these feelings, and to gain an understanding of what people may be going through. You can see a few examples of the practical tips that the booklet contains on your screen now. Support books for children and their adult carers. When someone you love dies in a road crash, it is a shattering experience, whether you are a grown-up or a child. As a parent or carer, it can be particularly difficult to know what to say to a bereaved child and how to behave around them. Someone Has Died in a Road Crash is a picture book for children to read with adults after a road death. It uses simple language and colourful pictures to communicate important messages and encourage discussion and honesty between children and their carers. It is a simple way for families in distress to share emotions and support each other at a bleak time. Helping Children Bereaved by Road Death is a guide for adults who are caring for children bereaved by a road crash. The information given in Someone Has Died in a Road Crash is suitable for any age child, but perhaps caters best for children up to the age of 13. However, we often hear that adults find the children's books helpful and supportive themselves. The Coping with Grief booklet may be more suitable for older teenagers. BRAKE works with a number of agencies that provide support for teenagers, and we can direct families to these services, for example, to online forums for suddenly bereaved teenagers. If you are asked about support for teenagers, please explain this and ask the families to call the National Road Victim Service for more information. To order more copies of our support literature, please call BRAKE's National Road Victim Service on 0808 8000 401 or email admin@brake.org.uk. Distribution. The College of Policing's authorised professional practice requires you to distribute BRAKE's information and advice for bereaved families and friends following a death on the road. Each box of bereavement packs you receive will contain a sheet of guidance for distribution. How should you hand the packs out? Before issuing the pack, turn to the Your Contacts and Notes section, colour-coded blue, and insert your contact details. When you issue the pack, explain that it contains important information that may be useful for many months. Show the family where they can find your contact details and the contact details for the National Road Victim Service. Then leave the pack open at the What Happens Now coded yellow explaining that this section includes information they may need to know right away. Use the flap at the back of the pack for leaflets about support agencies, including Break and any local victim or bereavement groups that you work with. Remember, the family will keep the pack and you can use it to help answer their questions over many months. Please do not remove any pages. You cannot be sure that the families won't need all of the information. Ensure you hand the bereavement pack out in person, never by post or through the letterbox. Bereavement packs should be hand-delivered within 24 hours and preferably at the time the family are informed of the death. Never issue by post. They should be issued to the primary adult victim only, such as the parent or the spouse of the person who has died. You have enough free stock for 2 packs per death in case of split families. Ensure each pack contains a small yellow book, Coping with Grief, in the front flap. If not, please request these from Break by emailing admin@break.org.uk. You can give out additional copies if needed, as they are very popular. Explain that the bereavement pack is a guide prepared by a charity funded by the central government and a number of police and crime commissioners, a source of useful information, a source of contact details for support agencies. Point out important information. To do this, you will need to be familiar with the contents of the guide yourself. Point out contact details for Break's National Road Victim Service. Offer to contact the National Road Victim Service on their behalf and ask someone to get in touch with them if they are happy for you to do so. Distribution, practical suggestions. Here are a few practical suggestions to help bereaved families get the support literature that they need. Keep copies of the bereavement packs, children's books and Coping with Grief booklets in your go bag or patrol car. If you are acting as FLO, make a note in your logbook to confirm that you have given out the relevant guides. If you are not acting as FLO, tell the FLO who has been given a Break guide so they can note it in their log. Make sure you inform the officer in charge if you are running low on stock. Break support literature aims to help anyone bereaved in a road crash with practical matters and procedures after someone has been killed on a road. It is also suitable for anyone who is caring for somebody bereaved in this way. You should know who in your force stocks the guide so you can get more copies if you need them. If you don't, get in touch with Break. Contact details for Break are on the current slide. Thank you for listening. But before you go, please take the opportunity to listen to Police Constable Derek Longstaff from Northumbria Police talking about how Break support literature supports his work as an FLO.
Hi everybody, PC Derek Longstaff. I'd like to just take a couple of minutes just to explain a book that Break have produced for road deaths, the Break Pack. This is something that's been going on for years. It's a fantastic bit of kit that we use every single fatal, and I can quite categorically state that over the 10 years, if not longer, that I've been doing this book and these books here, the children's explanation books, have saved my bacon on numerous occasions. They are very informative, but the best part for a FLO is that they're going to answer questions that probably you're going to get in the very early stages of the fatality. Always have them in your kit. When you go into the family, when you're doing the informed message, or if you're going to visit them after the collision and introducing yourself as a FLO, have these with you. You can probably tell the family 5 or 6 times and the information's just going in one ear and out the other. These books are there for when it's quiet time, when they're sitting and they're thinking about questions, and we always ask them, don't we? We always say, if you've got any questions, write them down, email them to me. If I don't know the answer, I'll come back to you. But if you take these books with you, they answer 99% of the questions that they're going to get thrown at you. So it is going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of difficult conversations. It's just going to be as clear as day, and they are. The child book, this one, I've sat with adults, very intelligent adults, and I've used this book, and it has been as clear and to the point where they've sat down and said, what a fantastic bit of documentation, that they love it, because it helps. It is simplified to help children, but it helps adults as well. And I cannot really stress it enough to you that if you go to a fatality as a family liaison officer, before you go and see that family, make sure you've got these books with you, or at some point in the early stages of the investigation you get them books to those people, because it will save you a lot of grief. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and thank you again to Katie for delivering this presentation. Our next webcast, focusing on Brake's Serious Injury Guide, will be available soon. If you want to find out more about Brake's National Road Victim Service, please visit our website at www.brake.org.uk. Another thank you to this year's webcast sponsors, Hugh James, Simpson Miller, and Slater & Gordon.